Und nach dem Vortrag fielen alle Schmerzen.
And after the lecture, all pain fell away. And I got such a fresh feeling that I didn't recognize anymore because I was always so tired. And such a feeling of joy, I can't even describe it in words. And then I knew this can only be health.
Das kann nur die Gesundheit sein. Ich hatte eine Freundin in Salzburg und die war blind.
I had a friend in Salzburg and she was blind, and no doctor was able to help her. I had previously read newspaper reports on the events at the Traberhof in Rosenheim of the mass healings occurring through Bruno Gröning, and I dismissed them. That's impossible. It can only be a fraud. And I didn't pay any more attention.
Da mich nicht mehr interessiert.
And then my friend wrote me a letter asking me to accompany her to Munich. She didn't have anyone to accompany her, and she wanted to go to Bruno Gröning.
Sie will zu Bruno Gröning.
Really? No, impossible. I won't go. How could Maria Laufenthaler ask me to do such a thing?
What's the matter?
She's going to Gröning. Of all people, Gröning. She wants me to go with her.
Gröning? Isn't that the miracle healer?
A charlatan he is. I won't go to him.
Look, maybe he could help you also.
What nonsense. I've never heard of such a thing.
Hin und her überlegt.
I thought it over, back and forth. She didn't have anyone to go with her. And then I decided and said, I'll go.
Ich fahre.
Grete Häusler lived with her mother in Kärnten, Austria in 1950 when she travelled to Munich to see Bruno Gröning. And she herself was suffering from 3 incurable diseases.
Wir sind dann bei Herrn Enderlin in München, Schwabing.
We were received by Mr. Enderlin in Munich, Schwabing, in a private apartment. And that's when I decided at the door,
Ich gehe da mit hinein.
I'm going in there as well, so that I can rescue her from a charlatan. I can see, I can hear. And so they let me in.
Und so hat man mich hineingelassen.
Eugen Enderlin is a healing practitioner. Before the lecture, he asks Grete Häusler into an adjacent room and takes down her case history.
For 15 years, I've had chronic frontal sinusitis. The suppuration has hardened and become encrusted.
Yes?
And besides that, I have the opposite of diabetes. My blood sugar level is too low. I have to take 7 to 8 cubes of fruit sugar daily just to be able to exist. Despite that, when I'm outside on the street, if there's no wall to lean on, or a table when in a room, I end up on the floor. That's how dizzy I get.
Hypoglycemia. Anything else?
Yes, during the war in service in Yugoslavia, I developed jaundice, and there was no way to treat it. I couldn't follow a diet, and so I was left with a liver disease. I can only consume 1/3 of all types of foodstuffs. Sausage, pork and bacon are the worst things for me. The doctor said, I must follow a diet my whole life. My liver cells are destroyed.
You know, 14 days ago there was a lady from France here who had the same kind of liver problem as you. And she was healthy again in half an hour.
Excuse me? In half an hour she was healthy?
Well, just as I said to you, she came in here ill. And was healthy. Within the shortest time. With Gröning there is nothing that is impossible.
Eugen Enderlin experienced a healing of angina pectoris in 1949 at the Traberhof. Out of gratitude, he offered Bruno Gröning an apartment to use for his lectures. In the meantime, about 50 to 60 people were waiting in the living room. Before Bruno Gröning came in, Enderlin spoke to the help seekers and explained to them how they could receive the healing power.
Und irgendwann sagte dann, denken Sie jetzt nicht
And
an
at
Ihre
some point he
Krankheit,
said,
denken Sie jetzt an was
do not think
Schönes,
about your illness, think about something beautiful
was Ihnen Freude
or something that gives you joy. And I will never forget this. I thought about it. If I think about something beautiful, nothing bad can happen to me. I'll go along with that.
Und ich dachte an den Wörthersee.
And I thought about the Wörthersee, which I experienced on the way there. And at that moment, I had sensations in my body that were unfamiliar to me. Something was streaming through my entire body from top to bottom, all the way into my arms and through my fingertips. I thought, what's this now? Without a shot, without medicine, such sensations. And that was the first time that I received the Heilstrom.
Empfangen habe.
By Heilstrom, Bruno Gröning is referring to the spiritual power through which healings occur. He also calls it the divine power.
Dann kam Bruno Gröning selbst.
Then Bruno Gröning himself came into the room.
Nach einer Stunde circa.
And after about an hour, Mr. Gröning asked me, how did you get to Munich?
Und ich sagte, mit dem Zug.
And I said, by train.
Und er,
And he said,
Nein.
no, impossible, I can't.
das waren genau die Worte.
Those were the exact words that I had said to my mother when I was reading the letter. No, I am not going. No, impossible, I can't. The same gestures that I had used. And in that moment, I knew he sees the whole scene that played out at my house 14 days ago.
Zu Hause abgespielt hat. Ich habe mich so geschämt.
I was so ashamed that I would have preferred to just run away. And then he looked at me
Schaute er mich
so lovingly and full of forgiveness and said, it's all right, the train brought you here.
sie hierher gebracht, ne? Und in dieser eine Minute
And at that very
habe ich
moment,
den Glauben
I took
aufgenommen.
up the faith that this man could help me.
Und nach dem Vortrag fielen alle
And
Schmerzen.
after the lecture, all pain fell away, and I got such a fresh feeling that I didn't recognize anymore because I was always so tired. And such a feeling of joy, I can't even describe it in words. And then I knew this can only be health.
Das kann nur die Gesundheit sein. Und dann ging ich.
And then I went over to Bruno Gröning and shook his hand and said, Mr. Gröning, I thank you. I feel completely healthy now.
Und er schaute mich von oben bis unten an.
And then he looked at me from top to bottom and said, yes, you don't just feel healthy, you are healthy.
Aber danken Sie nicht mir.
But don't thank me, thank God. He did it.
Das konnte ich
I
überhaupt
couldn't
nicht
understand
verstehen.
that at all, because for years I hadn't believed in any God.
Mit meiner Freundin ging ich dann durch München.
With my friend, I went to the youth hostel in Munich with such a great feeling of joy, indescribable.
Und
And
sie
then
sagte
she
auf
said,
einmal,
all of a sudden, hey, there's red.
sag ich,
I said, it's
Mitternacht,
midnight,
es
it's
finster
dark
ist.
out.
Sagt sie,
She said, no, it's red over there. And I looked intently.
intensiv. eine rote Lichtreklame.
There was a red neon sign, and suddenly she saw all the colors of the neon sign that were visible on the street.
Die auf der Straße sichtbar waren.
We felt such holiness that we could no longer speak.
When Grete Häusler woke up the next morning, she still had that fresh and light feeling of joy. She had no more pain, no more dizziness. She makes the most serious diet transgression when her girlfriend asks her to make a bacon sandwich.
Dann habe ich gewartet.
And then I waited to see whether I would get pains in my liver as I would have in the past. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, no pain.
Schmerz. Bin ich wirklich gesund?
Am I really healthy?
Jetzt wollte ich wissen, wie das
Then I
geht.
wanted to know how that works. How is it possible that I was healthy all of a sudden? No explanation. What did Mr. Gröning say?
Danken Sie Gott.
Thank God he did it.
Gibt es einen Gott?
Is there a God? Is there really a God?
Wo ist er?
Where is he?
Aber
But there must be one, otherwise I wouldn't be healthy now. And then I experienced something and I got this thought. Yes, there is a God. And this is the proof.
Und der ist
And
da
he is not
oben.
up there like some spirit suspended in the air. He must be with me.
Und der muss in Wirklichkeit ganz lieb sein.
And he must be really loving to give me my health back without my having deserved it.